I was one of the Native American children, adopted at birth and removed from our country's Indian reservation system. I was raised in a small middle-class farming community, but was never told of my true American Indian heritage. It was still taboo back in those early days. The years passed, and in 1987 I lost both parents. While going through their personal belongings, my wife discovered my adoption papers and she began a search. 5 years later, I was reunited with my biological Lakota family, living on the Lower Brule Sioux Indian Reservation of South Dakota. I am a son of two mothers and a product of two worlds that had collided, but I have an equal amount of love and pride for both. I'm Paul LaRoche, and the stories you are about to see are an attempt to share this true American story of a hidden heritage. It was 2002 when I first met Moses Brings Plenty. Moses is a member of the Oglala Sioux tribal nation and has been an activist, speaker, spiritual leader, musician, actor, and currently is the Director of Rangeland Relations for the CANA Foundation. Moses has a fascinating life story. We recently caught up with each other at his ranch on the plains of Kansas.
The foundation that I am working with is called the CANA Foundation, and we are out to save as many wild horses as possible because we have the Triple H. It's horses, humans, and habitat. You know, as we save horses, horses save, humanity and also the environment, in the process, because we can't have a healthy environment without humanity first, with the understanding of coexistence, regardless of what language, faith, belief people have or how they think they should live life. As long as we can all coexist in a humane way, then our environment would also be more healthier for us as the people. The horses plays such a role, a huge role, in a lot of tribal people, especially in this country, and a lot of our cultural identity, and that's what we address it as, is cultural identity. Our people never created how they look, they never created their language, they never created the things that when we think of our ancestors, how that image, that was given to them, their lifestyle, everything was given to them through nature, and one of the main players in that was the horse. The horses lived with our people, they stayed in our villages. We didn't need fences, we didn't need corrals. The horses stayed with our people, because they made a vow to our people that yes, we're going to help you, and they were that constant reminder of how to be a community. And if you look at society today, we're almost losing that concept, the concept of community. And I'm fortunate enough that where I reside now, I get along great with all my neighbors, and we're all of different faiths, religions, or way of praying, and even different skin color. And so, but we help each other out, we get along great. And so the horses played that role. And also too, back then when someone had made that transition, because we don't have a word for death in any of our languages. And so when an individual made that transition, then the horse that had the greatest relationship in their later years would also make that transition, so that horse can carry them home, and in the Christian concept, they have angels. For us as indigenous people, as Native people, we have horses. There are angels, and our angels that we could see and touch and feel in the physical sense also. And so, Manda Kalimian, who started the foundation, she has a great relationship with several individuals who are in the political realm, and was able to build a communication relationship with the Bureau of Land Management. And so we would find out through others like Carol Walker and other individuals who watch a lot of these wild herds and wild horses and take photos of them. We'd get news of a roundup that's getting ready to happen. And then when the roundup happens, we start looking at what is occurring or where they're going to keep these horses or what horses have been rounded up. And we try to, in that process, I start looking for families or for places or land that is willing, individuals that are willing to take these horses on. Not every horse is made to be ridden.
I promised them I would do everything in my power, as long as I have a breath, to fight for their protection.
We are rewilding ourselves.
It's time to not just let our thoughts rewild.
Saving horses?
These horses are medicine people. They're not. We don't even have a word in our language for animal that would describe a golden eagle as an animal or a horse as an animal. We don't have a language. We don't have words for that. We have words for relative, or the people. And so the horse nation, they're holy people. And so their structure is similar to ours because, again, we got our structure from them. And so what we do is we find homes for them, or we find individuals that are trying to start youth programs on their reservations, and we would look at these horses and see what would fit in with that program or what is best to be left wild. And then we would go out and find out which facility they're being held at, and we would load them up and we would transport them, in a very safe, humane way. And so, really what we could use help with as a people, as our foundation goes, is people that are willing to open up some land, and allow some horses, at least a minimum of 2, to remain free on their property. And also people who don't have property can help out on a financial level, because, and also too, people can also educate themselves. If you look at society today, we're facing a climate breakdown. George Monbiot stated that. We always called it climate change, but when he said climate breakdown, that was like, wow, that's true. And so what we do at the CANA Foundation, another step that we are doing is we're proceeding to go forth with the rewilding concept, or the understanding of rewilding, because that's a big thing. We need a healthy environment to have healthy people and a healthy economy. When it comes to the youth, I lay awake at night trying to figure out how to take away that pain, how to take away that sadness or that loneliness that a lot of our children experience, and how can they allow themselves to feel love and even just be open to communicate. And so when we look at the horses, that's why we call them holy people, because they have that ability to heal. They're the healers. And we know that the horse is the answer. If we are able to start youth camps throughout the reservations and give our children a means or an understanding of how to communicate without language, then they're going to embrace the ability to be able to communicate more with those in their reservations, or those in their communities and their peers. And they're going to also learn how to listen. And those are the skills that we are losing as a society today, you know. So we have to bring that back because we have such a issue. I mean, the problem of youth suicides, it's insane. It's mind-blowing to me still. You know, at one time our people used to be lovers of life. Well, now I know why. Because they were always around horses. They had a relationship with and an understanding of nature. And so the horse is the best route, and how I see it, to give something for our kids to do again and to bring back and exterminate the identity crisis that we are facing as Indian people, Native people, Indigenous, whatever we want to label ourselves as. And so, as tribal people, we got to bring, and it doesn't mean we have to give up how we live today. We don't have to get rid of our homes and move back into teepees and stop driving vehicles and riding horses, you know, hunting buffalo again that way, because we know we can't go back to that. But we can bring back some of the elements that is needed and necessary for our mental health, our emotional health, and our physical health. And the horses play a vital role in that. I mean, that's one of the concepts of why we use the term rewilding. That's basically what it is. We're rewilding in that way, you know, and we're getting back in touch with ourselves. If we're not comfortable in our own skin, it's always going to be a train wreck.
There are other horses there that have been waiting since 2011.
You know, I'm a believer in a higher power. And I believe the higher power is perfect. And because I believe and understand in the perfection of the higher power, I want all people to be exactly how the higher power created them to be. You know, this is just not an Indian thing. It's not a Black or Asian or Caucasian thing. It's a human being thing. And unfortunately today, we as Native people, we are still not declared human beings within our own homeland. And it's sad because, and if you look at, I looked at President Trump's budget proposal in 2018, and one paragraph, you had the BLM, the Bureau of Land Management, and the wild horse issue, and the following paragraph was the BIA and our issues, you know, pertaining to health, welfare, education. And both of those categories are in the department, are put in the paragraph or on the page of the Department of Interior. So that's where we're kept at still. Everyone else, every other American citizen, whether they just became a citizen last year or not, or even 6 months ago, their records are immediately sent to the Human and Health Services Department. And so I got involved on a political level due to that, and now also due to the state of the environment and what's occurring to the wild horses. And because all of this is connected, you know, there's one thing that civilization is really great at. And what every civilization has ever succeeded at was self-extermination. If you look at the history of the Egyptians, they were a great power, a great entity at one time, but they self-exterminated, you know, and we can go all the way back to the Greeks, and we can go on and on. But why do we, as a civilized people today, have to repeat that? Why can't we be the ones to say, no, that self-extermination ends with us today as the people. We're going to learn how and remember how to be diverse, loving individuals, and we're most importantly going to embrace the fact that the higher power, the one that so many people call as God, addresses God, is perfect and did not make any mistakes in creating any other race or nationality or language or faith. You know, the role of elders has changed dramatically through the decades. And a lot of it is due to the restrictions and limitations of what we can and cannot do as a people. I mean, you have to look and understand and realize that we as Indian people weren't allowed to pray in our way of prayer until 1976. And so thanks to President Jimmy Carter, who passed the Indian Religious Freedom Act. And so I know that the true teachings is almost obsolete amongst people. You know, we have a small, very small handful. And so what I did in my life is I went back to those who gave us something, who shared something with us, such as the horses, the buffalo, even the coyotes, you know. And I want to relearn again, you know, who we once were as a people. And I began to look, not just because when people speak of our past, of our ancestors, they speak of their, you know, their courage to stand up, or some people speak of their resistance. For me, I look at not their ability to fight, but I look for their ability of how they lived. You know, what was their family structure like? And when you look into that, oh my gosh, you know, even our own people frown upon that. They'll tell you one minute they love Crazy Horse, but if you tell them, well, here's how Crazy Horse lived, they're going to be, no, we can't do that. We can't live like that no more. I mean, a lot of people frown upon that. Well, that's what made them who they were. It starts at home, and that saying still stands true today. When it comes to where I am today in the entertainment industry, you know, I never thought I'd be here. And what influenced that was when I was asking different Native children, you know, why aren't you proud of who you are? And the number one response that I got from the youth was, well, we don't see ourselves on TV. My biggest influence in the music realm and the platform that was given to me where I got to share it was with you and Brûlé, you know, and that was my biggest run of the music realm. But I had to learn a lot also too, you know. I mean, if someone wants to get into that business, you want to make sure that you have a good, mature mind, because it could get out of control quick, and I've learned that lesson in a hard way. Hollywood's different, you know. They say we got to get more and more Native people involved. If you look back at the old films from the 30s, clear up into the early 60s, and even into the late 60s, a lot of our main characters, the main roles for Native people were portrayed by a non-Native who was also often painted dark and put a black wig on. And so we're still trying to make headway, you know. We have good representation, such as a Gil Birmingham. Again, the list is small, but we have guys that are trying to make a difference, you know. It's funny you say that, because I remember in our travels, we always had this conversation. If we had this amount of time, what would we say to address the world? And what can we do together to make a better world for all people? You know, one thing that I admire about our people of the past is they were country people. And what that means is that they loved the environment. They loved the land. And I believe that concept still stands true today with some folks. We're still country people, regardless of what nationality we are. And we're all in this together. We shouldn't just come together in a time of need or in a time of tragedy. We should have the ability to remain or to come together in the times of good also. But if we care about what we're producing, what we're growing, and what we're taking care of, then we care about our American citizens. We don't need some foreign country to invade us for us to stand side by side. We can do this now in this time. And then we're going to be able to show our children, hey, here's what community is about. Here's what being neighbors is all about. Working and helping and looking out for each other. Ha madaku api. Oyate ki hen washte. Ashnaku hana hambetu ki doksha ke. When I said that all of us as the people, we are good. And one day, we'll get to see each other again.
We're in Canyon City, Colorado, and so we're going to a holding facility just minutes away from here. And once we pick them up, then we're gonna haul them up to South Dakota and take them up there. And I'm excited, but I'm trying to hold my excitement in until we're opening that gate. No, where you're going is gonna be good. You don't have to worry. You don't have to hear slamming gates no more. But they don't know that. They gained a distrust.
I'm Paul LaRoche, and this is Hidden Heritage.